Okay, good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folani. Well, this morning we're off to Port Harcourt, there to meet with elder statesman, former spokesman of the Pan-Niger Delta Forum, his national coordinator, South-South Leadership Forum, High Chief Anabs Sarah Igbe. Good morning to you, Chief.
Good morning.
Okay, thank you for making time for us. Let's talk about your, first of all, as I said, elder statesman, you've been coordinator, leadership forum over there. Let me just start like this. When during the campaign, President Bola Tinubu, then candidate Bola Tinubu, had made a number of very encouraging statements in the area that development was just a matter of waiting to come. As soon as in the event that he became president, contributing your votes to those of other Nigerians, that the Niger Delta will be much better off for it. In those terms, do you still have some concerns? Because you got the assertion even before President Tinubu became President Tinubu that it's a place that he takes very, very seriously.
Well, thank you very much.
Okay, this is. I'm so sorry, Chief. This is an issue. Well, if you said you couldn't hear me, I was saying that when candidate Tinubu, now President Tinubu, was in your area, your region, he had said that there were many good things that his emerging as the president could come to the region. I was talking about your natural resources and all those kind of things and how he was going to take it very, very seriously. But I wanted to ask you if you still have the concerns that traditionally have been with the Niger Delta area, talking about NDDC, for instance, talking about things like pollution and all those kind of issues. Are you still satisfied that those concerns will now be properly addressed?
Thank you very much for your questions. First of all, the people of Niger Delta are grateful to God for the peaceful electioneering. Secondly, we are also grateful that we have the likes of Tinubu emerging from the south. And his first outing was a bit impressive to the people of Niger Delta, particularly as it affects the NDDC. The people of Niger Delta were a bit worried when all the boards were dissolved, including the NDDC that was inaugurated barely January this year. And you know, the NDDC board ought to stay for 4 years. So when they said the news came up, you had dissolved the NDDC board, everybody was worried. The question is, why are we worried? We are worried because the present team of NDDC, the management team today, is a team that the Niger Deltans have confidence in. We have confidence in the management team because the MD, the managing director himself, was one of the activists that was in the creeks, running from one pillar to the other, canvassing for development of the Niger Delta. He was the secretary of the IYC when NDDC was passed into law by the National Assembly. Precisely when Obasanjo came to Port Harcourt, this same man was the secretary that insisted that there must get a development commission, and today is in the saddle of the NDDC. We are very happy because we believe he knows all the nooks and crannies of the Niger Delta, and he has a team, a general in the Nigerian Army who has the finance, very disciplined. We also have a technocrat in the project. So we are very comfortable with the team, and for Mr. President to have retained them, the leadership of Niger Delta came together and said, thank you, Mr. President. We thank you so much for that. But there is still a rumor going around that people are putting pressure for more changes. So far as we are concerned, we are comfortable with the management team. All we need is Mr. President to quickly inaugurate another board, including the management team that is there. Nigeria depends solely on oil and gas, and the oil and gas is coming mostly from this region. And we as Niger Deltans, we don't want problem in Nigeria. We want Nigeria to prosper, as well as we also prosper. So long as we prosper, Nigeria can prosper, no problem. So the oil and gas has destroyed our economy, has destroyed our environment, has destroyed everything about us. And we have been crying from time to time for development. And for this reason, the successive government has been able to bring forward intervention agencies like the NDDC, back to NDDC, the Ministry of Niger Delta, and the amnesty program. But what is more important to us and to Nigeria is the NDDC, because we need a man who can be able to communicate with the creek and also communicate with Abuja. And that is the man today, the MD of NDDC, Chief Dr. Samuel Obuku. We have confidence in him, and we believe that he can be able to be a bridge builder between Nigeria and the Niger Delta. Niger Delta, as a people, we have been contributing so much for Nigeria, right from the pre-colonial era of palm oil and rubber and so on. We have been contributing. Then the advent of oil. And for the first time, somebody from Oloibri, where the oil was founded, Ogbea is now the MD of NDDC. And we believe with this man, things will work out well, because he knows how to speak to the youths, he knows how to speak to the contractors, he knows how to speak to the chiefs, he knows how to speak to the activist world, and he's been able to tame all free nerves. He can do better for Niger Delta and for Nigeria if Mr. President will give him all support. So what we're trying to say is, as the people of Niger Delta, we support him, and we also thank Mr. President for retaining this team.
Okay, and also, of course, you're going to need a board for a board to be inaugurated, right?
Yeah, we have asked Mr. President to, as a matter of fact, quickly set up a board with credible human beings who have the managerial skill, who have the experience, who are committed to the development of Niger Delta. If we have such a board, definitely the Niger Delta region will see a difference. In the past, some persons were appointed for political favor, and when some of them refused to play to the gallery, they were removed. I can give you an example of Ibim Semnetari when she was acting MD. There were forces that wanted her to bring money from Niger Delta to develop other part of the country, and she refused. And what did they do to her? They removed her. We also saw what happens to Barrister Joy Dinie when she also disagreed with her boss over the implementations of the NDDC program. And we have witnessed issues between the National Assembly and the management, interim management of NDDC. We've seen all kinds of demonstrations, all kinds of politics. But this time, it's not about politics. It's about actual development of the Niger Delta. And not only developing Niger Delta, but somebody who can be able to relate with both the creek at the same time with Abuja. So that there will be harmony, there will be understanding, and there will be development.
Now, how about the Niger Delta Ministry?
We are grateful to God and
surely.
to Tinubu for...
Okay.
Yes, that is...
You have the Niger Delta Ministry. This should be very helpful in coordinating all these things you've spoken about.
When Yaradua came, the Niger Delta Ministry is not supposed to be coordinating ministry. It's supposed to be a developmental ministry like the Federal Capital Development Authority, Abuja. That's what they're supposed to be, how to develop the area. But rather than developing the Niger Delta and relationship, working in partnership with other agencies, they have been relegated to the background in the past administration. And so they are now playing only supervisory role, which we are not pleased with. Last year, they were given only 10 billion naira, which is not fair to Niger Delta. Previously, they were getting over 100 billion, 80 billion, and they were starting with the responsibility of building this West Road. The East-West Road, as it is an eyesore. Over 20 years, we cannot get a road. But that road is the major road servicing the Nigerian economy. From the ports, goods are moved to every part of the country, and it passes through that road without completing it for over time. A few months ago, we had a flood, and the flood destroyed part of the road. Until today, nothing has happened to that road. And this is the road that the ports use. And don't forget, ports are the gateway to the national economy. And yet, government is not attending to it. And the oil is coming from there. We are building roads to the J, railway to the J, roads to the J. But yet, we cannot solve the problem of the Niger Delta because of commitment. The people who are there were not committed to the development of Niger Delta. And tomorrow they will say, oh, we are troublemakers. We are not. All we are saying that oil, being a blessing to Nigeria, should also be a blessing to Niger Delta. But as it is now, oil is a curse to Niger Delta and not a blessing to us. And okay. NTDC has come, the Minister of Niger Delta, we beg Mr. President to get a committed person, like what we have in Chief Dr. Ogboku, to handle that ministry and remove their eyes from NTDC. Let them do their own bit. Government should fund them directly and forget NTDC. That's what they're saying.
You talk about some of the things you've spoken about. I know that you have your, I don't know if one should say issues with former Governor Wike, but it looked like it was a period of development, but maybe I shouldn't say that. Maybe I should really be asking you for your impression as a spokesman for the Niger Delta and the efforts that have been that have been executed by him. Okay, I was just waiting for, in case there was a delay, but it looks like you can't hear me. I was going to say that surely, yeah, there's no problem with people wanting more, but it's not as if the entirety of the Niger Delta has stood still in time as it was. And I suggested that consider the efforts of former governor of the place, is not of the entire Niger Delta, but former governor of Rivers. I was wondering what your impression was. Is this the kind of thing that you want all the governors, as it were, that constitute the Niger Delta, that they should be doing, or do you have a totally different view of goings-on in the Niger Delta?
Well, some of the Niger Delta governors did well. Some did not do well, in the sense that they don't take into account the oil-bearing communities. Like in the case of Rivers State, the governor of Rivers State, the then governor of Rivers State, Yosef Wike, never bothered about oil-bearing communities. As we speak today, despite all this 30% derivation, despite all the agencies, the oil-bearing communities are still living in squalors. They do not have water. They do not have light. No good school. Some of them do not even have jetty, no road, and the people are suffering. No hospital. Despite the damage of oil production on human life, the government who collects 30% never deem it fit to address the issue of the Niger Delta oil producing area. And that is why you still get continuous agitation. If the governors have done well by addressing the issue of Niger Delta or oil-bearing communities, I think we would have said, yes, there's development. But some of the past governors never did. They're only interested in developing their area or the state capital. State capital is just a small part of the state. The rural area where the oil is coming from is neglected. And if that is why we are agitated, and the government, federal government, is giving us 13%, I see no reason why the state governors will not use the money to effectively develop the oil-bearing communities. And I have challenged some of them, like the governor of Rivers, former governor of Rivers State, Chief Yoson Wike, to give account of 30% derivation. What he has done with the 30% derivation in the oil-bearing communities, rather than coming to accuse NDDC or other agencies. They pot calling the kettle black when it has not done what they're supposed to do. So we are saying some of them have failed us because they are not from the oil-bearing communities. Some of them have failed us because of their selfish agenda. Some of them have failed us because they don't know what we fought and how we got to this level. They don't even know how we come about 30%. So why would they not squander the money the way they like, playing politics with it? We are saying development must be driven to the oil-bearing communities. We must link up the oil-bearing communities with the main cities. That is not done, and that is why we are not happy. Today, we have somebody who is from the oil-bearing community as the MD of NDDC. We believe he can do better because he knows the pains we receive from the oil exploration in the Niger Delta.
Now, you spoke about part of what you're speaking about being the reason for some of the agitation. So that reminded me about the special program for former Niger Delta militants, talking about the amnesty program. What's your evaluation of that? And does the program need to continue, or has it gone on long enough? Can those former militants now stand on their own feet? Because all of these things add up.
Well, the amnesty program was one of the deals we got from the former president, Yaradua, the amnesty program and the Ministry of Niger Delta. Unfortunately, the amnesty program is just looked upon as a small deal. If you look at the history of Niger Delta, right from the 18th century to now, the Ministry of Niger Delta, the Niger Delta area has been militant, has been proliferated with all kinds of arms. And you know that they are the first to see the Europeans and the Portuguese and British and Germany. And one of the things they did was to come up with arms, cannon and so on, so that we can fight among ourselves. It was also a center for slave trade. So it has been a match with all kinds of arms, until recently we had this issue of militancy in the Niger Delta. If you can see, as far back as 1962, when Isaac Boro staged a 12-day war against the Nigerian government over the development of the Niger Delta. So it has the history of being proliferated with arms. So the amnesty program is to disarm the region, thereby giving peace in the Gulf of Guinea. But if you now say you are going to terminate the amnesty program, then you will expect more problems in the Gulf of Guinea, including piracy and other vices. So my advice is that should be a body responsible for maintaining peace in the Niger Delta. While NDDC is saddled with the issue of development, amnesty should be saddled with the issue of security of the Niger Delta. And so if we expand their scope and Mr. President empowers them to mop up harms in the Niger Delta, it will go a long way in resolving the economic issue like bunkering and other kinds of vices, piracy in the Gulf of Guinea, and so on. So I think what we need to do, what the government needs to do, is to get a committed activist to run the amnesty program. If we have a committed activist in the program, the person will now be able to expand it in terms of training, disarmament, and reintegration. Not only that, we must be able to make the place very peaceful for oil and gas exploration, as well as the Gulf of Guinea, so that our maritime activities can go unhindered. So that is a very key sector of the national security. Although we have the military in the Niger Delta, but some of them, they are compromised their official duties by being involved in oil and gas activities, which is not supposed to be. So we need our natives, the Niger Deltans, to be more involved, to be proactive in the security of the region, including stopping the oil theft, including the piracy in the Niger Delta, in the Gulf of Guinea, and other things. So I think amnesty should continue with more responsibility of ensuring that there is peace in the region, ensuring that there is peace in the Gulf of Guinea, ensuring that we have smooth operation of the oil and gas. So that is what the amnesty should do, while NGDC should be responsible for development of the Niger Delta.
Okay, then.